So fresh frozen plasma, otherwise known as FFP, is one of the most widely used blood products in the United States and clinics and hospital settings today. So what I want to talk to you about today is what exactly fresh frozen plasma or FFP is. I also want to talk to you about the extraction process and the storage requirements for FFP. And I also want to talk to you about the conditions and the illnesses that FFP is used for. So I want to start off by talking about whole blood. So whole blood is separated into 4 different products. So it's separated into packed red cells, it's separated into fresh frozen plasma, platelets, and cryoprecipitate. So today I want to focus on fresh frozen plasma and the aspects of that. So as stated by author David Yon, title Plasma, date November 10th, 2023, publication Britannica, though FFP is considered the liquid portion of the blood. And so it's considered the liquid portion of the blood because when you see blood, you think that all blood is considered liquid, but when it's spun down and separated, FFP is what contains your proteins and the majority of your water content in your blood. So that is why it's known as the liquid portion. And so, also as stated by David Yon, plasma serves as a transport medium for delivering nutrients to the cells of the various organs of the body. So when you think about FFP, it's your proteins and your water. So it helps maintain your homeostasis and the balance in your body. So according to Paul Reynolds, Joseph Scatoloni, Samir Gedapali, Peter Ehrlich, and Franklin Cladis, titled Anesthesia for Pediatric Trauma Patients, date March 15, 2023, publication Science Direct, fresh frozen plasma provides factors 2, 5, 8, 9, 10, 11, and antithrombin 3. So these factors are considered proteins. These are what flow through your whole blood and they transport to your injury sites. So this is why FFP has all of that water to help transport as fast as possible through your body. And according to author Bethesda, MD, titled Coagulation Factor Test, date last updated August 3rd, 2022, publication is Medline Plus. They help form blood clots to stop bleeding when you have an injury. So these proteins help stop the bleeding. Say if you have a cut on your finger, or if you have a more serious injury such as internal bleeding, these proteins are going to go quickly to your sites to help you stop that bleeding. So now I want to move on and talk about the process of centrifugation, the extraction, and the storage requirements for FFP. So according to author Julian Goldman, Kristen Cochran, titled Blood Transfusion, date February 17, 2023, publication Wiley Online Library, fresh frozen plasma is plasma separated from packed red cells after fresh whole blood donation and frozen within 6 to 8 hours of collection. So this is known as fresh because it is all done within 6 to 8 hours. So it's done pretty quickly afterwards, and this is to preserve all your clotting factors and things like that and your proteins. So also, according to author Paula R. Howard, titled Blood Component Preparation, date August 11, 2020, publication Basic and Applied Concepts of Blood Banking and Transfusion Practices, 5th edition. Each centrifuge used for preparing components undergoes calibration for optimal time and speed for each product made. So mainly you have a machine, and it's called a centrifuge, and it spins down the product for you. And then you're going to aliquot into separate bags. And these are all going to be used for maybe different people, different situations. So we're trying to get the most out of each blood product. So referring back to Paula R. Howard, plasma is frozen within 8 hours of collection and stored at or below negative 18 degrees Celsius for up to 1 year. Or it can also be stored at or below negative 65 degrees Celsius for 7 years with FDA approval. So the reason for this is we want to save these products as long as possible. We want to use these for as many patients as possible. We don't want to waste any blood products. So every single blood product is stored at stipulations to help try and save the product as long as possible. So it's not good at refrigerator temperature for as long, so we freeze it and then thaw it when needed. So once again, referring to Paula R. Howard, before administration, the blood bank thaws units of FFP and PF24 in a 30 to 37 degree water bath. After thawing, FFP or PF24 are stored at 1 to 6 degrees Celsius and should be transfused within 24 hours from thawing. So as you can see, this doesn't have a very good time to stay good after once they're thawed. So you want to get these units in as quickly as possible once you do thaw them, and that's why we wait until at that moment. And so now I want to move on to what illnesses and conditions our FFP is used for. So according to author Hina Kawar, Walt Kelly, Joshua Stevens, No Marie Guzman, title Fresh Frozen Plasma, date September 19, 2022, published by the National Library of Medicine. Fresh frozen plasma is indicated for the deficiency of coagulation factors with abnormal coagulation tests in the presence of active bleeding. So, for example, if you have a surgery and the doctor, it's not a huge surgery, but afterwards you start bleeding, the doctor may order lab tests, coagulation tests to see if you need FFP. So that's one situation where you may be given fresh frozen plasma. And then also, according again to Hina Kawar, Walt Kelly, Joshua Stevens, and No Marie Guzman, FFP is also indicated for planned surgery or invasive procedures in the presence of active bleeding. So if you're having an invasive surgery, say you're having a heart surgery or a brain surgery, the doctor can sometimes predict if they're going to need FFP, and the blood bank can get that ready to go, so then they don't have to worry about, in an emergency situation, if it's ready to go or not. So I'd also like to talk about situations that become more emergent. And so once again, referring to Hina Kawar, Walt Kelly, Joshua Stevens, and No Marie Guzman, other specific recommendations for FFP include trauma patients requiring massive transfusion and warfarin-related intracranial hemorrhage. So in a situation of emergency, you're probably going to be receiving packed red blood cells, platelets, you're going to be receiving all the blood products, okay? So in order to maintain homeostasis and balance in the body, you need to also have FFP. So especially since that is a lot of your water and your proteins, and that's what's going to help you stop bleeding. So according to author Washington State Department of Health, titled Trauma Clinical Guideline, Massive Transfusion or Trauma, date February 23, 2017, publication Washington State Department of Health, for every 1 unit of red cells, the patient should also receive 1 unit of FFP. Because when you think about blood, you got to think about the ratios of the blood. So they have considered all of the requirements for what the body should have, and so you should have 1 unit of red cells, 1 unit of FFP, and that should keep your body in a sort of type of balance in an emergency situation like that. So I just want to go over again what we kind of talked about today. We have talked about what FFP exactly is. We've talked about what it's used for, and we've also talked about the centrifugation process as well as how it's stored. So you may not always think about these blood products. You probably think of red cells more commonly than anything else, but FFP is one of the most widely used blood products, and it is also, it saves people's lives. So thank you for listening.